Hi everyone, welcome to our Blockly panel section at Anime Destiny. Before we start the tour, we're going to showcase the builds from our anime-themed build competition last Friday. Vote for your favorite and we will reveal the winner at the end of the stream. So we'll go in order.
Alright, if someone from the stream on our side could put the poll link in the chat, that'd be amazing. So first up, we have Kei Desu, who created a landscape architecture from Is the Order a Rabbit? You can see some very nice houses. You have the creek running down the middle, as well as some other seating areas and some nice vegetation around the area as well. Secondly, we have Piki Wiki Bulby, who created a pixel art of Pikachu with the cowl hat and a Sanford X. And then for the third build that we have is by Swanee, who created a Blockoski, which is in reference to the Blockly social that we had a few weeks ago, I think, for Halloween, creating a cardboard cutout of Oski. Number 4, we have what was called emergency food. This is otherwise known as Paimon from Genshin Impact. You can see her being cooked inside of a pot over a fire, in reference to the meme. For number 5, we have Simple DF, who created her own rendition of Oski-chan, which is combining Oski from Cal, called the mascot of Cal, as well with Sailor Moon as well. And then on the top left, it says "Go Bears" in Japanese. And then last but not least, we have Orbit, who created a pixel art of Kana from the Dragon Maid Kobayashi-san, which is a very large build as well. So we will be hopefully someone has sent the poll in the chat. If not, if someone could please do that, thank you so much. But yeah, please vote on that straw poll. We will be announcing the winners at the very end of the stream after the tour. All right. With that, let's get started with the tour. All right. So welcome everyone to Blockly University. Blockly was founded in March 2020 in response to the uncertainty as to whether or not the May 2020 commencement would even happen. Initially started as a joke by two of our founders, Bjorn and his friend Hunter, but they quickly grew into a large community of students, faculty, and even alumni contributing their memories and experiences to recreate the entire campus. I'm Christian Esperos, and I'm currently the president of Blockly. And I'm proud to have some of the Blockly staff here as well to bring you on the tour of our campus.
Hi everyone, I'm Albert, and Pranav is our cameraman. I'm a third-year chemical engineering major, and Pranav is the third-year computer science and linguistics major. Today, we'll be able to do things that we aren't able to do in real life. Today, we'll fly around and show you some interesting perspectives of Berkeley. Right now, we're inside California Memorial Stadium. As you may know, it seats 63,000 people, and when we aren't saying stay for at home, the whole campus can come to games and graduation here. While the university was unable to host full-capacity spring 2020 and 2021 commencement ceremonies, we hosted virtual commencements for both graduating classes in this stadium right here. This building was also the origin of Blockly, and was the first building officially completed by the first 15-ish members. As we move on to the Greek theater, alrighty. This is actually our fourth version of the Greek theater. The original version was 45 degrees tilted from this one, and we had one that was twice the size, and then finally our final version, which we used for the 2020 Music Festival that we hosted after graduation.
Alright, so after we finished the stadium, we collectively decided just for fun to recreate the entire campus if possible. But the thing is, we quickly realized that we would need more people to help us build the campus, as there were only about 15 or so of us at the very start. And it would take way longer, especially if we wanted to get things finished by that first 2020 commencement. So back in April of 2020, we posted on Facebook that we needed help building our campus, that actually blew up way bigger than we thought it would. And some of you have actually remember that post itself. So that day, about 1,000 or so people joined our Discord server, and there's a bunch of more people, probably like hundreds or so, who were interested in actually helping to build. So at that point we knew we had to create some kind of builder application just in order to screen everybody who was interested in the project. And actually that day we also created an executive structure because we knew that going forward we would need a lot of organization to run operations and make sure everything was running smoothly. So as you go through Haas, a weird fact about this area is it was actually one of the later buildings that was finished due to its abnormal shape and color. You may notice that the blocks that are used are much darker than the real-life Haas building. That's mainly because of aesthetics. Because of the limited amount of blocks that we can use, the builders decided to go with a darker color and a dark roof, and arguably that looks a little more natural and it looks better, and it definitely fits in well with our build. Alright, so next we're going to go to the mining circle area of campus. And the mining circle area was actually one of the very first areas that was completed on Berkeley. So initially, a lot of the builder team, and initially a lot of people in that kind of first wave from that Facebook post, was mainly a bunch of STEM majors. So this is one of the areas that we're very familiar with. So you can see here, a lot of the buildings such as Stanley, Evans, the mining circle building, and then the chemistry buildings behind us as well. However, as our community blew up in popularity, our builder demographic became much more diverse and brought with it, everyone who knew different parts of campus. So, all the humanities majors, all the architecture, art, and music people were able to build campus in the areas that, the initial wave of STEM students weren't as familiar with. So now as we head to the Campanile, I'm sure you all know about it. It's very well recognized. It's an iconic and historic feature of our campus. So in-game, we wanted to make it as faithful a representation of the iconic tower as possible. So we went through 3 different iterations of the tower before settling on our final design. There are a few small touch-ups along the way, but one cool thing is that you can see even our friendly peregrine falcon family nesting on top of the tower by the Caroline bells. We've even synced the clock faces that update as time goes on, and if you listen in-game, if you turn up your in-game audio, you'll be able to hear the bells in real life that we've synced with Berkeley's time. So you'll actually be able to hear, the ring of the bells in the exact same way that you would in real life.
So something we wanted to point out while we're up here is one of the most famous parts of Berkeley. It's a little sign on top of McCone Hall that says "No" or "Hope." In real life, I think the sign says "Nope," but we decided to change it. It's very in line with what Berkeley stands for in the first place. A place where people can gather safely and hope for a better tomorrow. As we turn our attention to South Hall, we can pay attention to a bear statue there. If you didn't know, there's a variety of bears scattered throughout the UC Berkeley campus, because, we're proud to be bears. Go Bears. South Hall has the smallest bear statue on campus, just on the railing of the balcony above the entrance. Our version of South Hall was built by this dude named Creeper. It's not his actual name, just how he goes in-game. The coolest thing about him, and the cool thing about this structure, is that he was actually waitlisted at Cal and ended up coming because of his work on Berkeley. So we like to tout him around and say that he came to Berkeley because he first came to Berkeley. Kind of to talk about our build method, because I'm sure everyone's a little curious, we used real-world-like elevation and layouts to figure out the exact dimensions of everything. And we also used a bunch of footprints, and once we were happy with where the footprints were represented on the map, we started building the walls, ceilings, and eventually interiors for the buildings. We very carefully took reference images from students, Google Earth, and Google Street View, and anything else we could get our hands on.
So one project that we're really proud of, and I think some of you might find interesting, is Berkeley 1893, also known as 19th century Berkeley. So way back when in last spring, we actually decided to recreate the campus from over 100 years ago using some old historical photos that we found online. That's kind of what inspired the project. And it's really cool, actually. So later on, we partnered with the Bancroft Library to actually access their personal archives and get many more detailed pictures and renders of the campus from, over 100 years ago. So as you can see, every other building except for South Hall doesn't exist nowadays. And the campus as a whole during this time was much more spread out. There's a lot more, greenery, a lot more vegetation everywhere. And you can see a lot of this old style architecture where everything was mostly built with, brick and wood and all that kind of stuff. And another project that actually, as we fly around 1893 here, another project that we're involved in with the Bancroft Library is being added to their digital archives. And that's a fairly big deal in my opinion, because you don't usually see that with a lot of stuff. So in 2020, the Bancroft Library actually reached out to us and asked if we were interested in being added to their digital collection of, and of course we accepted. So we collected a bunch of materials to reference later on. That's including our map, any pictures we had taken of campus, as well as any little skins or any memes that you could see and find on campus. So as we go into the in-game library, you can see that's actually very detailed. So the little parts, there are a bunch of little parts that are added to it, such as in the reading room here. And the one thing about building in Minecraft is that the interiors are actually relatively difficult because there's a certain scale to how detailed the space can be, obviously. So things like chairs, the tables, or even those computer monitors that you see there, they're actually really hard to replicate without an additional add-on or a plugin. So in order to solve that problem, in order to add more detail to our builds, we added a plugin to help render those those blocks that you can see there, to make things look a little more realistic, make our build look a little bit better as well. Give us a nice cinematic shot of the of Doe Library here. If you've ever been to Doe Library, you know how grand and how amazing this is supposed to be, or this is. But yeah. All right, we're gonna head out of here in a second. But yeah.
Alrighty. So as we headed out of Doe Library, we wanted to honor all the people who helped build our campus from the ground up. From what began as a barren field, our team of over 200 builders recreated the entire campus from scratch. We dedicated our recreation of the Builder Wall at Doe Memorial Library, where the real-life builders of Berkeley are memorialized to crediting each and every one of our builders, virtually in Minecraft. So you can find every builder's username on these walls. So now we're heading out of Doe Library. We're going to head towards Moffitt Library. And one thing about Moffitt is, however iconic it may be in real life, we didn't really have a set procedure. We didn't tell anyone to build Moffitt. The building procedures for us were actually very casual. We would just have people build whatever they want, as long as we kept on schedule in terms of timeline for commencement. As you can see, the interior of the library is very detailed. It was built by just a couple of students just on a random day, and it's surprisingly updated, including some recent renovations that were made a few years back. Right, so now we're going to be heading down to Vlsb. This was actually built by Creeper, the aforementioned builder, in a single day. He built this entire structure. It was really amazing. Vlsb in general is a great example of how we had to use both our creativity and the specific building tools at our disposal in Minecraft in order to find a workaround for the more ornate carvings. If the building had complex pictures or intricate carvings, or even subtle linings around the walls, we had to consider how to best reflect that with Minecraft's blocks. So we used half slabs and stairs and stuff like that. So we just basically walk through a bit of Vlsb. We're going to start walking towards Sather over here. As we walk towards Sather and past these iconic views of Berkeley and Berkeley, I just wanted to talk about all of the events we've done so far. The first and biggest one that I'm sure many of you know is the unofficial commencement with the support of the university in 2020. And in 2021, we also hosted another one. In 2020, We had 7 speakers, including the Chancellor and one of our Vice Chancellors, as well as major CEOs and very, very significant figures in the world of Minecraft. The chancellors, Mojang representatives, and some campus figures returned for the 2021 commencement. Additionally, we hosted the Berkeley High School graduation here in our own Greek theater. They reached out to us one day and asked for advice hosting a commencement, and if they could host one on Blockly, and we basically gave them the green light. In 2020, we also hosted a BLM protest where we had people who were too afraid of the virus to go out, or who just wanted to protest in a way that they felt was safe. We had a lot of young kids, which is very fitting for the Berkeley campus. At this point, we've also hosted several music festivals. There's one for each commencement, as well as a winter charity music festival for the Berkeley Student Co-op, along with other things like holiday-themed builds and socials. We worked very hard to try to keep Blockly up to date with the in real life UC Berkeley. The entire process of recreating campus, took months. So whenever changes that occurred on the real life campus, we wanted to reflect that in Blockly as well. So we had to rename Barrows and LeConte to their respective social sciences and physics north buildings. So the other thing that I wanted to say about Sailorgate was that it's probably one of the most beautiful spots on Blockly. The real one was built over a century ago, and ours was modeled in April 2020 by this one guy. And we had a single guy do all this beautiful 3D modeling of Sailorgate, and then implemented it in-game using mob spawners. It's probably one of the nicest parts of campus, and yeah, it's just reflective of the fact that we had a lot of builders with very unique skills that they ended up applying on Blockly.
So as we head over here to Sprout Plaza, you can imagine with a diverse community, we had there's a bunch of people as well who wanted to, who are part of a bunch of different clubs, wanted to add their little touch to our campus. So you can see on Sprout Plaza, there's a bunch of tables advertising their clubs like you would see in real life. There's a lot more detail you can see also added onto these booths. So you can, for example, there's a rocket up there, and you would never see that actually in real life, in a full-scale rocket on top of a booth like that on Sprout. So while we're walking through the middle of here, I'd just like to mention if you would like to support Blockly and our future projects, or if you just enjoyed the tour, feel free to donate via our Patreon. There's a donation button linked on our website, blockly.com. And if you would like to stay updated with us and our projects, check us out on the social media under Blockly or Blockly Official on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and more. And one cool, little tidbit that I'd like to mention before we head down Telegraph was that Blockly, we didn't start as a big organization like you might know us today. It was actually a very, very small, very small casual event that just eventually became something much, much bigger. There's about 15 of us or so who started on that stadium, and there wasn't much else that we had in mind. We just slowly started building out that campus. We started with iHouse and started moving out a little bit more. Then eventually, like I said earlier, with the Facebook post, we blew up, and we realized that this was something that a lot of people were missing. A lot of people during COVID just were sick of staying at home. They were sick of being, not being able to go out places, and Blockly, I bet you, was inspired because of that. There was a lot of grief and a lot of people who were just wanting to feel something more and express themselves and feel a little bit of joy, which is where we touched on with the hope. So it was truly, truly amazing just to see how big this project has gotten and how much support we've gotten all over the years, and how much love that we can see from Berkeley and Blockly just in this build alone. But all right, we're going to go back down Telegraph now. And this is one of the many continued parts of our expanding campus. Because, Berkeley is so much more to the campus, more than students and alumni. While you're here, feel free to grab boba from any of the shops on campus. They do dispense actual boba models that we've implemented in-game. And there's also, little kiwi bots. Sometimes you might see those around. I know they're not around right now because of COVID. But if you were there before the before in 2019 or even before that. You might remember some of the Kiwi bots running around. But yeah, when you're on campus, try and find. I also advise that you guys try and find some of the hidden builds, such as the giant OSCE photo or the TARDIS. And there's a lot more that you guys might be able to find as well. With that, fiat blocks and go Bears. So at this time, we will. I think since we have some more extra time than we thought, we'll head back to the anime section, and we'll wait. Maybe about, let's say, 10 minutes or so. I think. Does it sound good? Just to get anybody else who wants to vote, please do so on the page. In that meantime, I think, yeah, we can move over to a Q&A section. So anybody on the live stream right now, if you have any questions whatsoever, we have an amazing panel of staff right here with us right now, who've worked on multiple different aspects of the Blockly project. So if you have any questions at all, I think we'll move into a short Q&A section here before we announce the final winners. Otherwise, cameraman Pranav, if you feel free to do so, you can either fly around or chill here at the anime and just showcase the builds again. Favorite build? Okay, Albert, do you want to start off this one? So the first question from the YouTube chat is, what is our favorite build on the campus, or favorite build on the server?
So, yeah, I can start this one off. I was very involved in the process of building Foothill, so that's got to be like one of my favorites. And it was sort of hard to do, but we had help from this guy named Mango, or at least his in-game name was Mango. The reason it was hard was because although you can see that Foothill's mostly rectangular, it's not aligned with the cardinal directions. So we had to build a bunch of like diagonal buildings, and that was a bit of a headache. But with the help of World Edit, it was all dandy. And Christian?
Yeah, so I think my favorite build, and I might want to say Memorial Stadium, or maybe one of the or maybe the Glade as well. I just have a special fondness for the stadium just because that's where we started at, and it just brings back a lot of nostalgia of working those late hours. There's a lot of detail actually. If I remember working until like 1 a.m. some days just for fun. It was during that 2 week period, I think, during COVID, like right when we started in March. I think I built the bathrooms in in the Memorial Stadium or something. I was like, oh yeah, when is everything else going to be done? I never knew that everything would get so much larger from here, and so like all those booths on the side there, you'll typically see that if you walk around the stadium. You see some vendors there and stuff. But yeah, Pranav, I don't know if you would like to unmute and give your opinion, but feel free to do so.
Or just show us in game.
Yeah, or just show us in game as well.
Oh, ESS. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like his favorite is the Engineering Student Services. Is it also the is it Kresge, or is it just the Engineering Student Services? Kresge is below if you want to enter in. If you go below, yeah, I don't know if you can fly through the air, but I guess that works too. There you go. Kresge's should be like somewhere on your right, behind you. There you go. Yes, Kresge Library. So actually, a cool thing about the libraries in general is that there's a bunch of them on campus, and I think most libraries, just considering the amount of time that we all spend on the campus, everyone kind of remembers what the library looks like. So that's actually why most of the interiors on campus, like for example, even if you go into like East Asian and such, even like the smaller libraries, you'll see that the interior is mostly done, if not completed. Um, it's just really cool. I think we've partnered with the library on several occasions, or we've highlighted some of their some of their posts and such. Um, it's really quite amazing. Yeah, you can see like the interior here. Um, and you can see all the books and everything lined on the shelves and whatnot. Um, Another question from the YouTube chat is, could we walk around campus for the time being? So yes, you can. The server is actually up 24/7, 365. So at any point that you want, you can walk around the campus, check it out, um, and maybe find your own like little part of favorite part of campus. If there is anything not completed yet or any interiors, mainly the interiors, just because those are a little bit harder to get access to and replicate in real life, please let us know. Um, but I think but yeah, there's I think we could call. There's been a lot of different sections here. Like where is this right now? Is this Vlsb? No. Uh oh. Awesome. Yes, we
Yeah,
have
we wanted
something.
some examples of unfinished interiors, so put one up.
Very nice. But yeah, just for the sake of keeping the builds like relatively nice looking, we don't want to show off any just random blocks on the inside. So you can actually see we built outwards in. So we built the exteriors first, and then built the interiors later, just because we had kind of a look at the trees instead of the forest kind of style. I think at this time, I want to make a comment about the building stuff, or I guess the way we built stuff on Blockly. So like Albert touched on earlier, um, there was a lot of just kind of randomly randomly arranged buildings on campus. Like generally, most of the campus is exactly where it should be, and that's an amazing part of the build. Um, but there are some sections of the build just because of the way that Berkeley works. So, I'm sure many of you play Minecraft, but for those who don't, Minecraft works on a kind of a cardinal system, like on a block type system. So, anything in the forward, back, left, right, or up and down direction. So you can see here, there's been unfortunately Berkeley in real life is not as I guess as straightforward or as blocky as we would like it to be. So we had to make some modifications to the server. So actually, if our cameraman flies up, you can see that I believe the crescent is actually a little bit smaller, or it doesn't exactly line up where it should be in real life. And that's just one of the, a small thing on the server that you might not notice actually, just because if we're looking at the whole map as a whole, um, you might see it, but it's something that you probably won't notice in real life. There's a lot of the buildings and such. For example, this top left or this bottom left section, with all the I guess all the brick roofs, those are actually completed last. Is one of the last areas to be completed on campus, because we didn't actually know, or there wasn't a lot of people who were part of, or I guess who had experience in this area. Um, there's a lot of people who just knew what these buildings kind of looked like, or kind of like the scale of what they were. Um, but they still turned out amazing. Um, and you can see like all the all the recognizable architecture there as well. And then you can actually see a crane in the back, which I think is a testament to that Blockley is always going to be constantly expanding, constantly being made. Um, but yeah, I can see actually this build here is it's from a social of ours compared, I believe, is one of the civil engineering organizations, and the plan or the idea was to create like a building that would exist in Berkeley if this section of I guess of Berkeley was not existent anymore. So if you had something from the ground up, what would you make? We paired up with them. A lot of the civil engineer architecture majors in that group designed like this building and people from Blockley were the ones who built it in game. So you can see, I think that was like a hospital there. Then we have a treehouse. Um, and I don't know what was on this side. I believe it's supposed to be a McDonald's, but it looks like someone might have accidentally, changed it somehow. And then we have at the very back Boba Shop, which is I think so it's behind the cameraman. So there's there's the McDonald's I think at the very end there. Um, And then behind us in that circular building is a boba shop. So if you want to fly around there, but yeah, I can see here that the lower part of campus isn't as finished, just because downtown is a little bit hard to replicate. There's some geometrical constraints that we have to deal with and stuff.
Yeah, I had, like, personally, building in Minecraft, I had a lot of trouble building the interior of Vlsb, which is probably why it's not finished. Because I had the blueprints, and you also have data about elevation on the exterior of buildings from like Google Earth. If you like swipe your cursor over it, you can tell what the elevation of every point is on your cursor. So you have that data, and you also have the building like blueprints. But what I didn't have was the elevation within building. So if you didn't know, Vlsb is built on this like giant slope, and the interior of the building is actually sloped also. So it was really hard to tell like where the slope started and how to best represent that like in game. So yeah, that was a problem we, I guess, haven't tackled yet.
So yeah, Albert, I have a quick question for you. So when you joined, what did you think? I guess I don't know if you remember, but what did you think of Blockly when you first joined way back when?
When I first joined, to clarify, Christian was like one of the first 15 people, and Pranav and I joined shortly after. But when I first joined, I thought it was a really cool thing. And I knew I had to strike while the iron was hot because a bunch of stuff wasn't built yet. And I wanted to contribute something, kind of cement myself as part of this memey little thing that we have going on here. I just thought it was really cool, like this cool thing that students found to do while they're stuck at home. Yeah, it's a bit of a source of happiness for the first few months. How about you, Christian? I don't know. Can you speak about your experience of this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Sprawl, but it's definitely amazing to see just how much we progressed over this time. And actually, I'll pass it off to Pranav to if you want to speak about your experience as well. But it was amazing to see just how much development went into this project. It was kind of crazy because kind of a running joke that we have internally is that Blockly always will surprise you with what kind of opportunities would happen. So, for example, like we were building stuff, on Facebook, and that post blew up, and we're like, "Oh wow, that's amazing!" And that we thought that would be it, right? But then news articles actually started reaching out to us and saying, "Hey, this is a cool project you have here. We would like to interview you, or we would like to write an article about you." So I think the first one we had was like KQED or something. We're like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then eventually we got invited by, or we got asked to be interviewed by ABC, by CBS, like all these major news networks. And we're like, whoa, that's amazing. And eventually we got to the point where, we were actually we were shown on Trevor Noah, we're international sensation. And then one part that I think a lot of the articles and stuff don't really touch on as much as well is the music, the first music festival aspect of it. So we were thinking of something, we could have some fun afterwards, after like graduation. Like, oh yeah, and some of our guys, so his name was Elliot. He had a network with a bunch of music artists. So we started, we were like, oh yeah, small music event. We'll have like a couple of people showcasing the music afterwards. And then we'll just it'll be that. But eventually, it got to the point where I think it became a real live music festival. We had like 50 plus artists on the timeline. It was literally a 2-day festival starting at like 9 p.m. so it was like Friday 9 p.m. All the way to Sunday at 9 a.m. And I was actually there in real life. I'm not sure if any of you were here. I don't know if any of you were here during that time, but it was literally just set after set after set, and it was amazing because we had this huge map of just the of this music service. We had I think Albert mentioned it as well. We had the Greek theater as, I guess, kind of the main portion of where the stage would be. But on top of that, we had the RGB lights going across the stage. We had a bunch of actually effects on stage. So we had kind of some light effects that were shown around campus. Like for example, um, I guess it was not the sea lantern rays, but a bunch of, well, I guess the rays you see from those the ocean creatures. We had an ender dragon light from it exploding, that kind of stuff. So it actually kind of looks like if you can imagine like Coachella or like EDC or whatever. It was kind of like that as well. Um, and we had a huge exploration map on top of that in the background as well. So you could one cool thing that we had as well, that we actually took inspiration from other builds, is having kind of like things you can find, or like little hats or little armor pieces that you could add to your character in game. And you could find, I think there was like a set of like 15 of them in total around the entirety of the map. And we had, for I think each of our sponsors, each of them had their own little area as well, on top of all the other explorations and stuff there. But yeah, Pranav, I don't know if you would like to talk about your experience, and I think after that, we'll announce the winners of the build competition.
Oh,
For sure. I think we had one more question in chat about specifically diagonally situated buildings, though.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no. When I joined Blockly, it was I joined the Discord server. Apparently, prior to that, there was a messenger group, I think. But the Discord server at the time of my joining was like a one-channel Discord server with no logo and no name. So I joined it, and I thought, there's no way this is going to work out. But what if it does? I don't want to miss out. So I stayed in when they sent out the builder app, filled it out immediately because I thought it'd be interesting. And then against all odds, somehow the entire campus is suddenly around us. So that was kind of where I was coming from on there. And it was a super cool journey, seeing hundreds of people online, building at all hours to get this ready in time for commencement. And even after that, people didn't stop. People kept building. People kept fleshing out their favorite parts of campus. Honestly, it was just a really nice experience, and I'm very happy that we got to get this opportunity to build parts of campus that we might not really go to super often in real life, like the chancellor's house or whatever, and all of that. Yeah. But I guess we do have a question about the diagonally situated buildings. Is there any specifically diagonal building in real life that you guys want me to warp over to that we can take a look at?
I think we can use Foothill as an example, because the entire structure is essentially diagonally situated rectangular buildings. Yeah, so if you can see the area by Hillside with a bunch of like birch, and also Stern, that entire thing is built on a diagonal. So what we did was we got the coordinates from Google Earth, and it's very convenient to use Google Earth because when you have your cursor over like just any spot on Google Earth, it'll show you the coordinates. So we basically kind of plotted those coordinates in game for the corners of each building. And then once we had the corners, all we had to do was connect them with diagonal lines. But the hard part was figuring out where the coordinates were and how to best represent that.
Yeah, you can see that took a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. And something that actually I just remembered. So Pranav, thank you for mentioning long hours. I have a little quick fun story before we dive into the anime section. So, like I said earlier, students, alumni, and teachers, yes, teachers and staff, some of them actually contributed their part on Blockly. So one of these teachers or professors or staff, his name is Michael Ball. I believe he's part of the called the CS CS staff. Please feel free to correct me. I don't know for sure, but one
He's
day
a CS lecturer. Support the lecturers in their fight to get more money.
Right. Okay, cool. Thank you for the correction. But yeah, so Michael Ball, so he actually came on the server. He's like, "Oh yeah, could I build my office?" And we're like, "Yeah, definitely." And it was like honestly like midday or maybe like the afternoon. By the evening time, most people had logged off. It was 8 or 9 p.m. And before I logged off as well, and I think some other guys, we asked him like, hey, how's the build going? And he was like, oh yeah, it's still going well. And then, I logged off. Everyone, I think most people had logged off at that point as well. So then we came back the next day, and I'd walked over to him to see how he's doing. And then when I logged back in the next morning, I actually saw that his character in game was in the exact same place as it was at that last night. So we don't know exactly what happened, whether he fell asleep or if he was just, forgot to log out. But we like to say that he fell asleep building his office inside of Blockley, which is kind of just a little fun little tidbit there. But all right, if you want to head back to the anime section, I think we can open up that link for the winners. So let's see here. All right, cool. So it looks like the results are in. And could I get a drum roll, please? Oh my gosh! Wait, actually, there's a drum roll, please. Thank you so much. So there's actually been a tie, believe it or not. No, don't do that. No. But yeah, it looks like there's been a tie. So I think we'll just we'll award prizes to both the winners as well. You did amazing. So the first winner that we have is K Desu with their build of is the Order of Rabbit. So we have that on the left there. And the second one is Paimon's Emergency Food, created by Cat on My Keyboard. So congratulations to both of you. Thank you for your amazing contribution. And this will be added to the server. Please message us privately, and we'll make sure that you get your prize. So the prize is these builds will be featured on our server, as well as we'll send a couple of Blockley stickers to you as well. But yeah, thank you so much again, everyone, for coming on the server and joining us today at Cal Animage. At Anime Destiny, my bad. But thank you to Cal Animage for hosting this amazing event and inviting us to be part of it. Any last words from Albert or Pranav?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone involved, but that's pretty much it for me. Pranav?
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great day.